Hey guys, and welcome to my details preview video for Bloodborne, the board game by CMON or Not. As a fan of the actual video game on the PlayStation, I'm super excited to kind of dive into this and figure out what this game's going to be like and what cool things that have in store for us. We don't know everything, but we do know more than you might think, so let's get into it. Bloodborne is a PlayStation 4 exclusive video game by the publisher From Software, best known for their Dark Souls series and their recent release, Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. CMON has held the rights to the IP for board game use for some time, releasing a semi-co-op card game in the past. Now, they are releasing Bloodborne, the board game on Kickstarter. It's designed by Michael Chanel and Eric Lang, and will be launching live on Kickstarter very soon on April 23rd. Okay, so what do we know so far? Sadly, not as much as previous campaigns, because instead of true deep dives into portions of the game mechanics, for the most part we've been treated with a blog-style update by Michael Chanel, as he mostly talks around mechanics and the reasoning behind them. As such, here is what I've been able to glean from those posts and small bits of recorded footage of the game being showed off. First things first, there are going to be plenty of minis. Just from the images, I've counted at least 28 miniatures, 13 of those being unique sculpts, and I imagine there's plenty we haven't seen, and some of those will have repeats. Now, assuming a size between 35 and 40 mm for a basic human male, the miniatures seem to go as high as 80 mm or more for the big boss enemies that they have shown. We've seen at least two hunters, the woman with Ludwig's Holy Greatsword and the typical hunter with the Saw Cleaver. We have confirmation, however, that all of the starting weapons will be available, such as the Hunter Axe and even the Threaded Cane. There are no dice in the game. Instead, players use cards from their hand of 12 to place various attacks. Each hunter has a unique special ability. The game is set into three sections. The first is the random map tiles that must be explored. It is said that you can actually explore the whole area fairly quickly to uncover the map for that scenario. Note that there seems to be specific scenario rules and/or objectives listed on a card. The second is your hunter dashboard, noting your unique special ability, your health, blood echoes, weapon, and I believe an area to play your attack cards in a specific order. The third portion is a large place that has a hunt track, a spot for 3 different enemy types, the mission card, and the hunter's dream, which is populated with an upgrade deck of cards. This allows you to upgrade your own deck of cards, which starts out with a bit of everything, but you can customize as you see fit as long as you stay within the hand limit, meaning you'll actually have to give up cards to make room for new ones. From what I've seen, it looks to have a lot of tokens and tons of small zombicide-sized cards. Speaking of cards, let's dive into that a little bit as we know a fair bit about it. You have 12 cards forming your stat deck. The stats they lifted from the game are Strength, Vitality, Skill, Endurance, Arcane, and Blood Tinge, though those last two are more enhancing stats of the other main ones. Vitality allows you to mitigate damage. Strength is just damage. Skill is how fast you attack. Endurance allows you to take more actions before needing to recover. Another thing they lifted from the game is that each weapon is a trick weapon, meaning that it has 2 different forms. This is one of the main differentiators in how a hunter plays and feels, and each one is unique. To attack, you select a stat card from your hand and play it on an attack slot of the weapon. The stat card you pick modifies the attack, such as making it faster if you play a skill card, or by playing an endurance card you can clear the attack slot, allowing another action. Upon defeating enemies, you'll obtain blood echoes, which you can then use to get upgrade cards in the Hunter's Dream that I mentioned before. Fun tidbit about Vitality cards, it's actually how they incorporated the rally mechanic from the video game. In this sense, you can regain health based on the damage you deal. To fit the feel of the game, all enemies will be tough and there will be no easy fights. Finally, the map is easily traversed and you should be able to move from one side to the other within 2 turns. Instead, the focus of the game is more about achieving whatever goals you have for that scenario. The map itself can actually be fully uncovered fairly early in the game. Well, that's what we know so far. So I know you guys are dying to know my opinions on this. As a big fan of the game, I do have some expectations, and not all of them match the board game we're seeing here. Now that doesn't mean everything is bad per se, just that you can't translate everything from a video game to a board game, and in fact you shouldn't. So, you know, like the rally mechanic obviously doesn't quite match in the video game. When you attack somebody, or you're attacked, you kind of get hurt, and then there's a bit that you can recover that health if you attack back really quick. It's kind of a push your luck thing. It's like, hey, you were just hurt, do you try to gain that back by attacking real quick, or are they doing a combo and it's just going to end up getting you killed? And you have to make that snap judgment constantly throughout the game. And this one, it sounds like you just play a card and you heal however much you attack or whatever. So again, it's not like perfect there, but it's cool that they're even trying that. Another thing is, the Souls type games, so Dark Souls, Bloodborne, all these kind of games have very intricate maps that are all connected, and exploring them is kind of more of a slow and steady pace. Now, mind you, once you unlock a shortcut, like to a boss or that, you can run it pretty quick. But to unlock that, typically it's behind a lot of fights and stuff that you can't really skip. You have to climb a ladder, and there's ranged people that'll shoot you off the ladder, or there's a big bad boss before the next lantern, or whatever. It kind of does gate you in a sense. So it's a little odd to me that they put such little thought seemingly into the map, because in my opinion, for the Souls games, the map is one of the main characters, as far as I'm concerned. It's a core part of the game, and is integral to learn the nooks and crannies of it steadily, as opposed to just sprinting across the map. But, again, you can't fit everything into a board game, I understand that, and in fact, what I want out of any board game is streamlined mechanics. If it's extra, if it's fluff, get rid of it. Just get me the core thing. I don't need a big, humongous game that can do everything. I need a fun game that does what it does really well. So, I'm actually really excited though. The minis, in my opinion, actually look pretty good. A lot of people found them kind of staticky looking and stuff like that. I've read a lot of that kind of complaints, and personally, I think for Bloodborne, it actually kind of works. A lot of the enemies are actually quite rigid. I mean, a lot of times they just stand still until you actually go to them. And even then, they move rickety, you know, kind of like, you know, the Grudge style kind of movement and weird stuff like that. I'm liking the detail I'm seeing on the miniatures and what they're doing there. So I don't know. I'm excited about it. As a huge fan of the game, I can't wait to get my hands on this and actually do well, because I don't roll dice, which means I won't roll all blanks and miss every single time. So I'm super excited about that. The fact that it looks co-op or semi-co-op with other hunters seems really interesting and a lot of fun. So looking forward to it. I'm optimistic. I'll let you know when there's more information, and I'll be sure to cover it in the future on this channel. So, if you are not subscribed, subscribe for those if you actually enjoyed the video. And in fact, if you did while you're there, click the thumbs up. It helps the channel a ton, and it costs you nothing. Links below to various stuff that I do. You can find me all over the internet, and I'll talk to you soon.